Look at this time of year. This is the best. Fall is always the best time of the year. I love it in the fall. I wish our falls were longer.
Well, the changes have been happening slow this year. A gorgeous day at Wash Park. Highs way above average for this time of year, and another warm day still ahead. The change, though, is coming. Good evening. Thanks for joining us. I'm Tom Green.
And I'm Kim Christensen. We're expecting a big temperature swing this week, so we want to get right to Chief Meteorologist Kathy Sabin with the Weather Impact Team. It's been nice. It's been really nice.
It has, but I think most of us are ready for cooler weather and certainly some beneficial moisture. And what we're seeing out here is the leading edge of that change. High and mid-level clouds are coming in, a bit of a mountain wave cloud today. Made for a pretty sunset, should be a pretty sunrise, but the cold air is still upstream, but it is coming. Temperatures today warmed into the upper 70s. We've cooled back to the 50s, but I don't know that we're going to see highs in the 50s by the time we hit Wednesday afternoon. The winds will be increasing out of the southwest ahead of this system, so red flag warnings will be posted for some parts of Colorado tomorrow, and winter weather and travel advisories will go out for mountain snow. Denver, we've got scattered rain showers coming in on Tuesday, mixing with snow Wednesday morning. So a pleasant dry evening, a nice day tomorrow, and then here it comes. The timing and impact of this next weather change is just ahead.
Also just ahead, November and Election Day, and things are heating up. Donald Trump held a big rally at New York City's Madison Square Garden tonight. That included appearances by Melania Trump, Elon Musk, RFK Jr., and other big names from the MAGA movement.
This time, Trump's comments aren't making the headlines. It's the profane attacks by the speakers before him. The rally began with Tony Hinchcliffe. The comedian and podcast host made a series of crude jokes about the conflict in the Middle East, Black voters, and Latinos. He's getting a lot of attention about a comment he made about Puerto Rico, and a city that's home to the largest Puerto Rican population in the U.S. mainland.
I don't know if you guys know this, but there's literally a floating island of garbage in the middle of the ocean right now. Yeah, I think it's called Puerto Rico.
Republican Senator Rick Scott of Florida posted on social media saying, quote, "The joke bombed for a reason. It's not funny. It's not true. Puerto Ricans are amazing people and amazing Americans." Another Republican lawmaker from Florida, Congresswoman Maria Elvira Salazar, said she was, quote, "disgusted," writing the rhetoric does not reflect GOP values. And music superstar Bad Bunny, who's from Puerto Rico, endorsed Kamala Harris to his 45 million Instagram followers.
And today, Kamala Harris was unveiling her plan for Puerto Rico while campaigning in the battleground state of Pennsylvania. She was visiting a Puerto Rican restaurant in Philadelphia and talked about her hopes of trying to revitalize that island's economy and strengthen its power grid. Of course, people who live in Puerto Rico cannot vote in presidential elections, but the 5.8 million people from Puerto Rico who do live on the mainland can. Here in Colorado, so far, 882,000 have already turned in their ballots for Election Day. Now, if you plan to mail your ballot in, officials from the election authorities are telling you have to get that mailed in by tomorrow.
So get on it. The Denver Indian Center is working to get their community the resources they need to their voters to get them registered. 9 News reporter Janelle Finch takes us there.
With little time left, voters are making their voices heard.
It's a lot of the electoral process or the information that we're trying to get to our general community.
Rick Waters is the executive director of the Denver Indian Center. He says casting a vote is native.
Many tribes, they had councils and they listened to the input of everybody. And ultimately decisions were made based upon the input of the community. So that's kind of what we're trying to express here is your vote is your voice.
A voice?
Yes, I got the help here. They did it for me right now.
Johanna Holy Elkface has just regained. She came to the center to update her voter registration with her new address.
So I don't like this electronic stuff unless I have my 12-year-old grandson with me, and then he usually does everything on my phone for me.
She didn't vote in the last general election, but she changed her mind when she heard this apology from President Joe Biden.
Federal Indian boarding school policy, the pain it has caused, will always be a significant mark of shame, a blot on American history.
I don't know why we never seem to get credit, so I think that's why a lot of us don't care to vote.
She says being acknowledged empowers her to vote.
Because I feel that we should be recognized. That's not fair to recognize, everybody else.
Even with time running out, Waters wants his community to know they can still make an impact.
We encourage all of our community members to vote their conscience. You know, whether it's your Republican, Independent, Democrat, you know, look at the issues that are going to impact you, your tribe, your family, not only now, but in the future.
And that was Janelle Finch reporting. A reminder, our team is making it easy for you to get all the information you need before Election Day. Just text the word VOTE to 303-871-1491. We'll text you back a link to our full voter guide. In 2024, smartwatches help us check our texts, track our steps, and for some people, they can take managing your health a step further.
9 News reporter Rachel Krause is with us now. Rachel, doctors are saying these Apple Watches can help to diagnose and monitor a common heart condition.
Yeah, atrial fibrillation is an abnormal heart rhythm, and it's something a lot of Coloradans deal with. Now, Apple Watches are helping catch it early on.
At his home on the Western Slope, there's one thing you'll never find Dave Kaufman without.
Yep, sure do.
His Apple Watch, of course.
It's on all the time except for charging it.
That smart device has become a critical piece of managing his atrial fibrillation, or abnormal heart rhythm. It's tricky to diagnose. His doctor ran tests, all normal. Heart rate monitors, normal. A longer monitor spotted the problem, sending him to a specialist here in Denver.
Before my doctor's appointment with Dr. Sundram, my oldest son said, "Well, Dad, why don't you get an Apple Watch?" And my comment was, "The doctor doesn't want me to do that." And when I met with Dr. Sundram, he was very encouraging, saying that he was involved with the study. So that afternoon, I went out and got an Apple Watch.
Dr. Sri Sundaram sees patients like Dave dealing with AFib all the time.
And as much as 1 out of 4 people in the United States will develop atrial fibrillation at one point in their lifetime. It's that common.
Common and serious.
It can range from barely symptomatic to actually the biggest problem it can cause is stroke. In fact, it's the most common cause of stroke in the United States. And the strokes that you get from it tend to be pretty darn big strokes.
Dr. Sundram says a lot can be done to treat it, but first they have to catch it.
You don't have a diagnosis, you don't know what the treatment is.
A tough task made simple by Apple Watch.
They were FDA approved a couple of years ago. And I was initially pretty skeptical about it. But then I looked at the data. It's right probably close to 95% of the time when it tells you that it's atrial fibrillation.
The data they're collecting is critical and life-saving, and it's sending patients in for help sooner.
Just last week, I think I saw 5 patients that were first diagnosed with atrial fibrillation based on the Apple Watch alone. So if we can diagnose it sooner, I can treat it sooner, and we get a higher rate of success.
For patients like Dave, this watch is a lifeline, helping manage his AFib, 200 miles away from his doctor. Peace of mind that puts his heart at ease.
Yes, it sure did.
Advent Health Porter is taking part in an international study looking at Apple Watches and AFib. Specifically, patients in their trial using their Apple Watches will take blood thinners for a short amount of time and only when they're in a prolonged episode of AFib. Dr. Sundram says this could ultimately be a game changer for patients. Rachel Krause, 9 News.
Wow. More than just your time and text and stuff. Thanks, Rachel.
Yeah,
that's good.
Absolutely.